The Battle of Villaviciosa was a battle between a Franco-Spanish, on 10 December 1710, army led by Louis Joseph, Duke of Vendôme and Philip V of Spain, and a Habsburg-allied army commanded by Austrian Guido Starhemberg. The battle took place during the War of the Spanish Succession, one day after a Franco-Spanish victory at Brihuega against the British army under James Stanhope. Both Philip V of Spain and the Archduke Charles of Austria claimed victory, but the number of dead and wounded, the number of artillery and other weapons abandoned by the Allied army, and the battle's strategic consequences for the war confirmed victory for Philip. The battle was largely determined by the Spanish dragoons commanded by the Marquis of Valdecañas and the Count of Aguilar, which far exceeded the opposing forces. The Austrian forces retreated, pursued by Spanish cavalry, and the Allied army was reduced to 6,000 or 7,000 men when it reached Barcelona on 6 January. Prelude. After victories in the 27th of July Battle of Almenara and the 20th of August Battle of Saragossa, the Habsburg allies supporting Archduke Charles captured Madrid for the second time, and Charles entered Madrid on the 21st of September. The 1710 invasion was a repetition of the one in 1706. And the 23,000-strong Allied army was reduced at Almenara and Saragossa, and in skirmishes with the Spanish Bourbon militia, the Allied troops were unable to maintain an occupation. The Allied position in Madrid was dangerous. On 9 November the city was evacuated and the retreat to Catalonia began, pursued by Spanish cavalry led by the Marquis of Valdecañas. The Archduke left the army with 2,000 cavalry and rushed back to Barcelona, while the rest of the army marched in two detachments. Austrian General Guido Starhemberg and the main body of 12,000 men were a day's march ahead of the 5,000 British troops under Lord Stanhope. The British force, surprised, was defeated at Brihuega on 9 December 1710. The British were taken prisoner. When General Starhemberg was informed of the attack on the British column, he moved his troops to help Stanhope's army, unaware that the latter had capitulated. The next morning, the Franco-Spanish army was waiting on the plain of Villaviciosa. Compared to the Austrian general's 14,000 troops, the Duke of Vendôme deployed about 20,000 men on parallel ridges. Bourbon deployment. First-line right-wing commander, Marquis of Valdecañas. Cavalry squadrons, Dragoons of Calas, Dragoons of Alaux, Dragoons of Osuna, Guards of Corps, Old Granada, Pinately, Old Order, Center Commander, Count of Torres Infantry Battalions, Spanish Guards, Walloon Guards, Comsfort, Castellar, Geldres, Benmal, Santal of Genda, Armada, Lombardy, Milan, Uribe, Mulfita, left-wing commander, Count of Aguilar. Cavalry squadrons, Dragoons of Marimon, Dragoons of Quimelol, Dragoons of Grinao, Old Santiago, Vargas, Reina. Second-line right-wing commander, Count of Merode. Cavalry squadrons, Asturias, Murte, Pozoblanco, Estrella, Lanzarote, Extremadura. Center Commander, Lieutenant General Pedro de Zuniga. Infantry battalions, Castile, Murcia, Trujillo, Savoy, Ecija, Naples Sea, Extremadura, Toledo, Sicily, Coria, Leon, Vitoria, Segovia, Naples. Left-wing commander, Lieutenant General Navarro Cuenda. Cavalry squadrons, New Roussillon, New Granada, Velasco, Carvajal. Cavalry of Raja, Cavalry of Jayacutan, Old Roussillon. Artillery commander, Marquis of Canales. Battle. The battle began during the afternoon, lasting until midnight. Each army had 23 pieces of artillery, deployed in 3 batteries. The artillery fire began simultaneously, damaging both armies. The Marquis de Valdecañas, commanding the cavalry in the Bourbon right wing, began the attack. Valdecarnas sent his cavalry against the Allied left wing, composed of German infantry and Portuguese and Spanish cavalry under Imperial General von Frankenberg. The German infantry and Portuguese cavalry tried to stop the Bourbon charge before yielding, and the left wing was destroyed. The Spanish captured the artillery pieces, killing the Anglo-Dutch troops sent to aid the left wing. With the Allied left wing defeated, the Archduke's infantry advanced toward the Franco-Spanish center and drove back the Bourbon infantry. The Marquis of Toy tried to prevent losses in the center and avoid the division of the army, but most of his men were taken prisoner by the Portuguese. Although the Bourbons in the center were in difficulty, the Count of Aguilar threw his cavalry against the Archduke's right wing of the Archduke. The Allies were unable to stop the Count of Aguilar's cavalry. The Archduke's right wing was saved from disaster by support from the center, led by the Spanish General Villarroel. Starhemberg regrouped his forces, repulsed the Count of Aguilar's cavalry and charged the Bourbon left wing. After capturing the left-wing cannons, Starhemberg launched his army against the center. The Bourbon center and left wing began to retreat, and the right-wing cavalry pursued the Allied left wing. The Count of Aguilar then attacked against the Archduke's right wing with his dragoons. Although the German and Portuguese cavalry resisted the first charge, Aguilar's cavalry broke the Allied right wing. Valdecarnas' cavalry also dealt a severe blow to Allied army, and Lt. Gen. Mahoney and Field Marshal Amazaga's troops charged from the right wing. Starhemberg, unfazed, launched 3 cavalry charges against him. During the fighting, Amazaga was wounded in the face. Starhemberg's forces retreated to a nearby forest to escape the Franco-Spanish cavalry, and the Allied forces began their withdrawal under cover of night. Result: although Philip V of Spain and the Archduke Charles both claimed victory, the number of dead and wounded, the weapons abandoned by the Allied army and the strategic consequences in the war confirmed Spanish domination. Starhemberg continued his retreat, harassed by Spanish cavalry. His army was reduced to 6,000 or 7,000 men when he reached Barcelona. The Spanish throne was finally secured for Philip when Charles left Spain in April 1711 to become Holy Roman Emperor after the death of his older brother.